All
Well, good
right.
morning. We have Brennan and Cedric, two great friends of mine. We've both done deals together, and we're looking to do more deals and learn and educate others from what we learn across the way. Um, so Cedric came to me last week. He's got a property in Arizona that he wants to buy and assume a VA loan. It's got a very preferable interest rate here. And I put him in touch with my friend Scott.Evans, and we've done some other research on the assumption process. Brendan then came to me a couple of days ago, also looking to assume a VA loan. Most of us in the creative finance world are looking to not assume, but just take over payments. But when sellers don't have that motivation or they have a different need, and we can qualify for the debt, then absolutely it's the best way to get the lowest quality debt and the lowest risk for everybody involved. So I put this call together just to connect Cedric and Brennan, just so we can learn a little bit about what each of them have learned along the way, what they've come across as far as their opportunities, and to share the knowledge they've had and share that with the world as a result. So Cedric, why don't you share a little bit about what we've talked about the last couple of weeks, the opportunities you came across, the first one, which wasn't an assumption, and then the one that you are looking to assume, and the difference in the opportunities and why, the assumption seems to be, from a financial perspective, a much better opportunity.
Yes, sir. Thank you. As we live in the current world with the interest rate, investment has been a little bit more challenging. So I was pre-approved to be able to get a loan. I went and put an offer on my first home to find out that the difference in my monthly mortgage will be about 2,000. I was interested. Beautiful home, exactly answer what we need. I can move to the house with my family, and the goal is to keep our current and find an exit strategy that works for the current. But we're gonna keep it, do a rental, midterm, or any long term rental. Figure that out. Then I came across another realtor that specialize in assumption. That's all they do. He showed me another property about 30 minutes from each other. The only difference is it's a VA loan that is assumable, which will save me about $2,000 a month for the next 30 years. Yeah. I couldn't think any other way to go about it. 2,000 for the next 30 years. Yes, sign me up. So I started doing some research. How is this possible? How can this happen? How can we make this happen? From my previous pre-approval, I brought it up to them. Hey, you already pre-approved me. Can you make my life easy? You know how the bank goes nowadays. They want to know your DNA. They want to know everything. So to save on that process, I asked them, are you able to assume this? Can you be, since you already pre-approved me, can you help me on this process? And the answer was no, you are not a VA, so you cannot assume a VA loan, which is was totally opposite of what the other lender is telling me. So went through that same process with the other lender. Currently, finally got a home on the contract. Now we're going to the process of evaluate what do you call it, inspection,
Yeah.
and that's what we're calling and going through.
Awesome. So we don't know what interest rate you may have got if you had bought the house through that other first house through the market. It could have gone up 0.5% between you getting that under contract and closing on it. Could have gone down 0.25%. Who knows? But we know that that interest rate on the VA loan is how much that you're looking to assume.
It will be 3.7%.
Fantastic.
Where on the other loan, my interest rate will be 7.1. And that is because I'm already buying it down. I bought it down for 2 years to get it at 7.1. And then 2 years later, assuming I can refinance, it will 2 years later it will go back to 7.5. Yeah.
Oh. So that's incredible.
Yeah.
So Brennan, you've come across an opportunity to buy a property in one of the Carolinas, is that right?
Yep, that's right. And this one would be for a personal or a primary residence for us. And so normally I go after a loan assumption. We try to do it sub two. And this seller, they've had this home. We've identified the property, 2021 build. So basically a new home. They've had it on the market for about a year, and it's just not selling. It's priced about $30,000 over what the comps are saying. And so that's probably one of the reasons why it's not selling. But they're open to some options, but they don't want to do a subject to. They're scared of it. So we attempted to like go through challenges, and I just simply said, hey, are you open to me assuming the loan and the seller doing an application with the VAs, or not an application, but a release of liability so that they can move forward and move on with their lives and not have anything to worry about with the mortgage. And they said, yeah, we would be open to that. And I said, here's what's most attractive to me is if I was to buy your home, a lot like what Cedric just said, with a regular pre-approval at 7.2, 7.3%, I'm not interested in this home. However, you've got a 3.1% interest rate. I am interested in that loan. So we've negotiated, we've got her down to about 431, 432 on the purchase prices of this home. Balance is 421. So there's a $10,000 difference there. And with a 1% interest rate, that's an easy entry for this home. And so I'm at the point where is, okay, we got the seller on board, the brokers on board, the buyers on board. Where do we go from here? What forms be completed? Who do we need to contact to make this go forward? And that's where I'm at. That's why I reached out to you, Tristan and Cedric.
Fantastic. So Cedric had a buyer's agent involved who specialized in the assumptions. Obviously, we're in Arizona, you're in Utah, but you're talking about South Carolina or North Carolina. But I think where we came on this, Cedric, and correct me if I'm wrong, the form itself for the offer made was on an Arizona real estate contract, right? The Arizona Realtors contract. And there is there, I believe, that says assumption of loan. I haven't looked at the North or South Carolina. Is it North or South? Sorry, Brandon, I keep forgetting.
It's a Carolina, and they've got an agreement to buy and sell real estate. That's what they call their PSA. It's agreement to buy and sell real estate. And there's a traditional buy and sell form, but there's an agreement to buy and sell real estate, parentheses, assumption of mortgage.
Perfect. Okay. Then that sounds like the one. Yeah.
The one. Yeah. And it's a realtor form.
So, I mean, you don't have to be a realtor to use it. If I can find somebody in South Carolina that is a realtor that would probably just help you out, fill that out, answer any questions. If you stuck it in your DocuSign and kind of pre-filled 90% of it, and I'm sure they would just check that out for you. I'm sure they would help you and just say, hey, that looks good, or change this or that there. I think that would work. And on the other side of things, which is kind of the meat and potatoes of the thing, the offer is the easy thing. The process to assume, I think that's where, I think with Cedric, he can give you a bit of color on what the process is, because he went to one of his other lenders to try and assume, but we found, I think, Cedric, if I'm right in saying, you have to go back to the original lender for them to agree for you to take over their risk, or they have to agree to you as being the new risk that they're underwriting to take over the terms of the loan. So whoever is servicing that loan, I would suggest you get a copy of the mortgage statement. I mean, at the end of the day, you know who the buyer and the seller is. They don't need to hide that. You will need the account number. And if you're in a contract with them to buy the house and you're looking to take over the loan, you might want to see about getting a third-party authorization so that you can call the lender and explain, look, I'm not going to be able to make any changes, but this is just going to give me opportunity to speak to them. But they've got a process in place already where you probably don't need that to get the third party. If you're applying to assume the loan, they're going to collect enough of your information to be able to start the underwriting process from you without releasing any of the personal information for them. But I think it wouldn't be an inappropriate ask for a mortgage statement. And an introduction to their lender. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So your first step would be to have that conversation with the seller and then contact the note servicer, explain what you're doing. Hey, here's our signed contract to purchase
Yeah.
via the loan. Can you walk me through the steps of what needs to happen to, to work this out?
And I'll let Cedric fill in from this point, because that's where he's found that process on his lender's perspective. So do you want to fill us in a bit, Cedric, on what you found along the way?
Yeah, so there's two things that you need to make happen. Compared to sub two, you try to hide it from the lender so they don't know at all that you are assuming, right? But this is totally opposite. The lender, the original lender that issued that VA loan, have to approve you. They have to approve you. You can't go anywhere else. They have to approve you to assume the loan. The good thing about that compared to sub two is that it's legal. A VA and FHA loan are the two loans that originally from the creation of those two loans, they are created to be assumable.
Right.
So yes, you can totally assume those two loans, and they cannot stop you from doing it. You do not have to be a VA. You do not have to be a VA. But the fact that you're not a VA, meaning the original VA that had the loan will have to give away some of the right. The right will stay with the home that you're buying. That's the only caveat that the current owner with the loan needs to understand. Once he sells this, go ahead.
I was just going to fill in. So what Cedric is referring to is the VA benefits, is that the government is underwriting 25% of the value of the loan, which is effectively the spread of their risk of the equity side of things. Because conventional loan, you're putting 20% down. If you go full conventional, you're putting 20% down. So they've got 20% of buffer for the market to shift, and that reduces the risk of the loan being defaulted on, or the house being worth less than the loan value. FHA loan, you pay PMI, which is quite a big monthly payment. On the VA side of things, the government is guaranteeing 25% of that loan. That's what gets stuck behind that the veteran can't use on another purchase. So say they had $1 million worth of they could buy $1 million house, which the VA would insure 25% of that, which is $250,000. And this house is worth 400,000. They're using 100,000. They might have 150,000 left to go and buy another secondary property. And with the right VA specialist, and this is where I would love to introduce you to Scott Evans, who is one of the very top 10 issuers of VA loans in the country. I would love you to introduce your seller to him as an expert in being able to navigate buying another house with a VA loan in the future and maximize their benefits and just fully understand where they are. Does that make sense? Because a lot of lenders don't understand the full things. I don't understand all, but these are the key points that I picked up from, where it might be to the advantage of a seller to do it, or it might be a detriment. So, it's fair and up to us to inform the seller as much as we can to the benefits and drawbacks. So in that perspective, yeah, the
first thing you will want
you until you refinance that out.
Yeah. So the first thing you will want to do is to get the seller on the contract. Now you need to get a contract written saying that this seller agree to leave this VA benefit with the house.
I don't need to go into that much specific detail, because if you assume it, they're agreeing to that when they sign off on the assumption. Okay. So that doesn't need to be specified in the front end. But the fact you've got them under contract for you to assume the loan, they're already agreeing to that. And you know, if it came to worst, you could force performance on it to say, well, you agreed for me to assume the loan. And the purchase contract already says you've done your due diligence and you've taken advice, if you choose to know that this contract is in your best benefit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Not to mislead somebody, but if they haven't done their due diligence before that, then that's on them, not on you.
What's fantastic about this particular one, Cedric, is this seller has no interest to purchase another property using their VA entitlement.
Yes.
That's brilliant, because so many people are stuck to this VA thing.
Yep.
Zero down, they're in a worse position than any other borrower in the country, because if they put zero down, they're already 10% underwater. And for the same reason they can't sell the house for a year, they're going to have to be, you know, behind or hold the house for a much longer period of time before they can actually afford to not write a check to sell their property. Because right now, that's why they're 30 grand over, I bet, is because they can't afford to sell it for less.
That's exactly right.
Because that's where his lender is gonna wants to know before they approve you that he totally understands that and he signed that away. That's gonna be the only requirement from his lender. Once the lender sees that, they should be able to transfer that to you with no issue.
Cedric, what I read was the process to do this for the original lender of the VA loan. It takes approximately 45 days for them, on average. I guess it could take longer, but about 45 days for that to be approved. Have you heard anything like that, or what has been your experience with that? Is it a little longer of a process? It's not going to be a quick turn, right? Like, this is going to take some time.
Correct. It won't be, from my understanding, under my contract currently, it's 30 to 90 days.
Okay.
30 to 90 days, yes.
And that might be something you put in the contract, is closing date is, you know, within 30 days of the assumption process completing, or 15 days, something like that. So, you know, they can't say, well, you didn't close in 30 days, you're in breach.
Right. Okay.
Within, you know, say I'll close within 30 days or sooner of the completion of the assumption process by their lender, because that puts it on their lender and their side to comply and provide everything they need for you to be able to close on the property.
Very good. I like that. So it actually does sound pretty simple. We're not going to reinvent the wheel. The original lender who issued this loan is fully aware that the loan is assumable. You just need to be qualified as a buyer. They're going to approve you.
That interest rate, not 7%. And that's the big benefit as well. So you could have a lower income than somebody else buying the same value house and qualify for the loan where most people wouldn't.
Now, this is the question to each of you. If I'm going to step into this house and live here for maybe 12 months, are there any restrictions that you are aware of if this becomes a non-primary residence? It's a secondary. I'm going to rent it out long-term, short-term. Any restrictions with the VA assumption of the loan to go do a rental on it?
That would be a question for, I would say, a different lender. The one that's issuing the assumption.
Okay.
I will doubt that there will be any restriction, because even as a VA loan, the only requirement is for you to be there for a year. After a year, you can rent it out. If you are deported somewhere else, you can keep it if you don't want to sell it, and then rent it out. So I believe, I don't know for sure, but as a VA loan, the only requirement is for you to make it as a primary for a year.
Okay. I have a question for you. So when I'm writing this offer, I'm going to probably write it today, you guys. The seller is waiting. So when I write this purchase, I'm going to use this agreement, this realtor form I have. I'm going to, write in there. I'll put the little checkbox next to assumption of VA loan. But is there anything additional you would put in this contract that would be kind of a contingency? Like we talked about, closing date, 15, 30 days within, completion of the loan assumption process. What else would you, Cedric, to put into this purchase?
On the side of the MD, a traditional realtor contract is really contingent on the closing. They don't generally have a like on the wholesaler contracts where you lock your hard money, you lock it in hard after 15 days or 10 days or whatever it is. You know, if you don't buy it because of qualification problems, then you get your money back basically.
Okay. Seems pretty simple.
But again, I'll find a realtor in South Carolina that I'll put you in touch with. You can just talk to them and check to see if there's anything different about that I'm clearly not familiar with, but aware of, that would be something you want to put in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you, Tristan. Cedric, from your experience, what is the notification process from this original lender of the VA loan to you of how the process is going? Is there going to be communication from them to you within that 30 to 90 days? Or are you just going to get a phone call and say, hey, congratulations, you've been approved at some point during the process? Like, do they communicate with you along the way?
They do communicate along the way, yeah, telling you where it is, and yeah, they communicate, yes.
Yeah, I just don't want to be left in the dark and be like, okay,
hey, hoping
what's going on, you know?
No, they definitely communicate, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's way easier, way simpler, and more legit than sub 2, because every party included is aware of the transaction. You don't have to worry about, oh no, I can't change my insurance, I can't add my name on the deed. Everybody is know what's happening, and the loan has been issued, being able to be assumed from the first place.
Okay, I like that. Thank you both for this. It's super helpful. You know, like in your mind, when you go through this, that something you've never done before, you start creating these mental monsters, and it can scare people away, and sometimes you quit before you even get started. And so having relationships like you, Cedric, and Tristan, to be able to just talk this through is so valuable. It just helps you understand that there is a way. You don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Just follow this process and then share information with one another when you do get a bump in the road, and hey, look out for that one, or make sure you do X, Y. So I appreciate it. Thank you. And Tristan, thank you.
Hey, please let me know. Hey, I'm going through a process. It's not closed yet. So hey, let's stay in touch. I'm sure there will be bumps. I'm sure there will be something. I would love to share. Hey, I just run into this as you go through to, hey, I just find this out. So that definitely open book, and yeah, let's keep this communication going.
Love it. We got this chat going, this text, and so let's just update each other, Tristan, if you're fine with that. Thank you for starting that.
I'd love that. That way we maybe do another follow-up as we go through each of your things and record something there and share that too.
I love it. Thank you both for this morning on a Sunday. Appreciate it.
And you look amazing, dude. I broke 210 the other day. I got 8 point something, and I'm up to 211. I'm not upset about it. It's just that kind of roller coaster as you make the continuous way down. But
hey, Cedric, so get this, dude. So I'm not sure if you saw my profile picture up there before we started. That was a 353-pound Brennan on that profile.
Wow. It's time to update that profile picture.
Yeah.
That does not look nothing like you now.
Yeah, dude. So this suit was from 15 years ago. I pulled it out. I'm like, no way. I got another suit I can wear. Fantastic. 130 pounds.
Amazing.
That's phenomenal, dude.
Yep. Thank you, brothers. I appreciate your help.
Wonderful. Take care, guys. Have a great Sunday. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.